The more I look into this Golfball man community, the more I end up knowing things I wish I didn't know. If you saw this video, this is more of that kind of material, so if you had a hard time listening to that one, there's your warning. After I released the video on Melissa and her husband, I was met with a response I don't believe I've experienced much of, both in the amount of positive feedback I received, but also the threats I received as well. I'm doing these videos for some homies, that's all I can say. Now, in regards to the dumb Golfball man community, there is more fish to fry. The user Deer with a Fucking Gun reached out to me a while ago and handed a massive document that not only covered Melissa and her alleged actions, but also others as well. So today we dive into the depravity of another person in the Your Boyfriend community. Wickey... oh, I'm already blocked. Yeah, apparently I struck a nerve with Wicked already. I wonder what might have caused it.
Wow, that's pretty unfortunate. I wonder what might have caused it.
Anyways, Wicked is a fanfiction writer and artist in the Your Boyfriend community, and is moderately well known. However, we're going to have a deep dive into allegations that would surface against Wicked earlier last year. Once again, we're detailing some pretty graphic material here like the previous time, fair warning. So let's begin the deep dive. On April the 24th, 2022, a user by the name of Dowo posted a statement accusing Wicked of SA, grooming, stalking, and doxing. 2 days later, Dowo would also post a selection of pretty damning evidence against Wicked that has been updated progressively over time. In the accusatory document, Dowo alleges that on the night of November the 23rd, 2021, Wicked and her now ex-husband Mason participated in a sexual assault of a drunken Dowo. Dowo details the alleged assault in her document writing.
Come the final night, I was left alone after Wicked had taken one of her many famous naps, and I started looking for things to do. I looked in the fridge, and I saw a jar of cream liquor I had bought the other day. Yes, I bought it with my own money. I wanted to bring it home with me. I started drinking it, alone in the apartment. I figured it wouldn't hurt to be a bit tipsy. Well, I got tipsy. I started feeling good, like I was myself again. I didn't feel that looming anxiety and fear anymore, so I kept drinking. I had downed almost the entire jar before Wicked woke up to find me stumbling around. She asked if I had been drinking, and I said that I was. She then offered to do tequila shots with me, and so we did. The tequila was hers and was already opened. I don't remember how much I drank, but it was enough to be blackout drunk. I hardly remember anything. I was stumbling around. I could barely walk. I remember falling off the couch at one point. I don't remember Mason coming back home. I don't remember how it started. One of the few things I remember from that was walking out of the bathroom to see them fucking in the kitchen. I went and laid on the couch, and Mason had gotten on top of me once he had finished with Wicked. I remember at one point getting choked. I remember my face getting shoved in between Wicked's legs while her husband was raping me from behind. And that's it. Everything else is either a blur or a complete blank. We had never discussed having sex while drunk. I was completely drunk by the time Mason had come home. I had no chance to set any boundaries, nor was I in a place to consent. I had the mental fortitude of a child. This was the first time I had truly been drunk. I woke up the next day. I knew deep down that I needed to leave. I was supposed to stay another day, but I needed to leave. Luckily, they seemed to forget that we had decided for me to stay another day in a FaceTime call a few days before I left for Indiana. I waited for Mason to leave, and I told Wicked I was leaving. She followed me around, helped me pack, and followed me out to my car. She begged me not to ghost her and asked me to kiss her. I just wanted to leave, so I complied. I left, drove home, and largely ignored them the rest of the day. I had an 11-hour drive, alone, to let myself sit with these thoughts, to let myself convince myself of things that I knew deep down weren't true. But denial is a hardy fighter. I didn't want to be a victim. I always told myself I was a strong woman and I would never become a victim after a certain incident that had happened at a previous place of employment. So I told myself I wasn't. I was just overreacting. These are good people. They would never do this to me. I would have fought back if they did. I couldn't have been raped by people I considered friends.
Yeah, pretty graphic description. Dowo would then provide a video that Wicked took of her in secret.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Just cinematic masterpiece. Your things, baby.
I know.
Oh, this one.
In this video, a drunken Dowo could be heard. This took place before Wicked's husband ever got home, but at bare minimum it proves that Dowo was drunk as hell during that day. Moving on to the other claims, there were the accusations of grooming, stalking, and doxing. We're going to set these off to the side because the accusation of SA is the one that has the most amount of evidence to it. This evidence will paint a bleak yet contradictory picture to what we'll discuss next, which is Wicked's public response made in August. Wicked posted a thread on the 24th of August stating,
I'll open up about the allegations. So what the hell happened? Did I do it? Short answer is no. Duh. Long answer is, it's complicated. What's complicated? Ultimately, it's no one else's business but mine, my husband's, and my accusers. Let me lay down some facts. Not all inebriated sex between partners is rape. Regretting sex with someone doesn't equal rape. As much as we would love to believe all victims, we cannot put blind faith in all victims. I learned number 3 the hard way. The day my accuser came forward, I believed her at face value. I thought my husband betrayed me and my friend, but then I asked for his side, and suddenly her story didn't make much sense. When I started asking questions, she blocked me. Once again, it's complicated. It's also none of Twitter's fucking business, but Twitter has made it their fucking business. And according to Twitter, I'm guilty until proven innocent. It's impossible to prove a negative hypothesis. So what am I supposed to do? It's a catch-22. I'm just rolling with the punches at this point and trying to bring awareness to cancel culture while having a little fun. Oh yes, Wicked sure liked to have fun when it came to being accused of essaying someone. So much in fact that not only did she change her Twitter name to Groomer Extraordinaire, a shade emoji, she also would put some very interesting things in her Twitter bio, like it's not drama, it's DiGiorno. And I rate essay fanfiction and essay fanfiction accessories. Oh, don't forget about her having a cancel counter included in there too.
Yeah, Wicked would try to make the whole thing into a giant joke, which is already not a good look. But I want to point attention to her denial at the beginning of her thread. She says that she didn't participate in the alleged assault, but she also says it's complicated? The fuck is that supposed to mean? Oh, but I already know what she means, dear audience. I'm about to show you a very different side to all of this with what Wicked would say in private compared to what she's saying publicly here. If you already thought this looked bad, you're about to be disgusted with what I'm going to show you next. Thanks to a former close friend of Wicked, that being Amphiria, a much different picture of that night could be potentially pieced together. The next day after the alleged crime took place, Amphiria asked if Mason was also drunk that night when the threesome happened. Hey Wicked, I have to ask an uncomfy question, and I only ask because it's nagging at the back of my mind. Was Mason also tanked when the threesome shenanigans were happening? Tanked as in he also drank heavily?
No, he was sober. I know it's kind of weird, but I trust you not to say anything about it to anyone else. Interesting. Why would she be telling her friend to not say anything about what happened that night? I wonder why. Audience guesses?
Gee, would Amphiria be able to provide receipts on that night to collude with the time the alleged crime took place? Here, DMs to prove that Wicked was drunk messaging Amphiria that night.
We're very drunk. My husband is babysitting us. The alcohol is wearing off.
I mean, of course this can't prove anything, right? I mean, there wouldn't be private messages between Dowo and Wicked where she tries to pin the crime on her husband, right?
Oh, wait. Mason is getting therapy. He and I both recognize and are deeply sorry for the emotional and physical pain he caused you. He never meant to hurt you or overstep your boundaries. You are valid to feel icky after sex, but that doesn't mean it's sexual assault. Yes, it does. Sometimes you don't realize that it's gone too far until it's too late. You can love the idea of something and then try it and absolutely hate the way you feel afterwards. That warrants an honest and immediate conversation with your partner. It's hard to know your boundaries before you get close or even overstep them, especially since you were still so new to everything. Ultimately, I wish you had said something sooner instead of ruminating on it. I deeply, deeply care about you and your safety, and I just wanted you to have a good time. I'm sorry it ended like this.
Let's dissect this a little more here. Wicked is explicitly admitting that non-consensual sex occurred, but made sure to leave the clarification that it was Mason who was responsible. But in the next breath says that it wasn't an assault? Wicked, are you fucking kidding me right now? Dowo has made it clear that she did not give consent because she was drunk. You acknowledged in this very same message that boundaries were overstepped. Not only that, Dowo alleges that you yourself participated in the assault with Mason. There are also separate conversations with Dowo's friend that would show the continued behavior of pinning the crime on her husband. Wicked altering her story of events isn't going to end anytime soon.
Oh man, if only there was evidence of Wicked going around lying to other people in private about what happened. Oh. Thank you! I am not denying that the victim feels betrayed and hurt. She was a very dear friend, and I'm terribly sorry for the miscommunication, but is it really rape if her anxiety is the only one telling her that she can't say no? Yes, it's still rape.
No idea, man. I have social anxiety to an extent. I freeze and sometimes faint if I'm in between people I do not know or trust. It's hard to tell a person with anxiety that the fault is on her for saying no. What I'm hearing from the situation is, let's have sex, yes, you sure? Yes, months later you actually raped me because I'm not okay with it anymore.
That's essentially what happened.
Sigh.
But the let's have sex part was him getting on top of her. She was awake before he put it in. She woke up first, she was conscious, she said good morning, she said wait when he was entering her and he did. Then she said, okay, keep going. He said, are you sure? She said, yeah. Now she has come back almost a month later and has said that the incident made her very uncomfortable and now she is calling it Big R rape.
Yeah, fuck that.
Apparently, she was talking with some other friends and after describing the incident, they convinced her that it was rape.
Yes, you see guys, according to Wicked, it's only an assault if Dowo's anxiety didn't exist, because that's how consent works, right? Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're still not done either, because Wicked would upload a detailed statement to her card as well. This statement has since been removed for unknown reasons, but it has since been archived. Now, reading this statement, it presents the same inconsistencies that were pointed out earlier. She would again point to the fact that Mason and Dowo were consensual in their interactions, insisting that Dowo was actually trying to get Mason drunk before the threesome happened. Wicked is insisting that all of this was perfectly normal.
If Mason is innocent, why are you in private messages telling Dowo that boundaries were overstepped, including the fact that Mason himself also acknowledged the same thing? None of this makes any sense.
I specifically want to read out this one part that definitely piqued my interest. I'm not a rape apologist. Rape is a heinous crime that would never wish upon my worst enemies. Defending my husband from a false accusation does not make me an apologist. The detective has shelved her case for months because there's no evidence that points to anything illegal, and there never was. Now, we're not going to go over the whole thing, of course. It's just full of word salad, and the aforementioned contradictions are repeated over and over.
Now, the only thing I believe needs to be done is to talk to Dowo herself. What does she have to say about Wicked's removed statement? Oh.
Hello.
Hi.
Howdy.
Hi.
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 Hello.
Hi. Yes. I wanted to know your exact thoughts on that amazing card statement of hers.
Honestly, a lot of it's complete bullshit. It honestly feels like she's taking parts that were true, but kind of contorting it into different situations to where she can kind of gain sympathy from it herself, while making me kind of look more guiltier in the meantime.
Well, one of the things that's pointed out, right, I guess from your detractors is that you were okay with certain acts beforehand that were consensual, and some people were thinking that, okay, why all of us, it's one of those things like well, why are you not okay with it now? But even though you made it explicitly clear that why in this particular instance it was not okay.
Right. So the particular incident that they're talking about in terms of that argument is a text message that was sent on my 21st birthday. when I was celebrating. And obviously when you celebrate your 21st birthday, you're going to be drinking, right? So I was drinking a bit and I was like tipsy the entire day. And I'm not going to be using that as an excuse, but this was the day that I had this quote unquote conversation with Wicked's husband, where he basically asked like, hey, by the way, is it cool if I wake you up with sex when you're up here? And I did say yes, but this was over text, and this was literally an entire week before I even went up there. Completely forgot about it. Again, I was tipsy the entire day. It was never brought up or talked about again. I think it was maybe talked about for 4 or 5 messages, and then literally never brought up again. So come the time that it actually does happen, you know, when I wake up to him on top of me like that, I'm not thinking, oh yeah, I consented to this via a text from literally a week ago. You know, it's I hate the argument. I really do, because all it's doing is kind of saying like, hey, you said it was okay at this point, but now after all this time, after not saying anything again about it, or even having a like in-person discussion about it, we never talked about it in person. It was literally only that text.
Yeah, I just don't like. I just don't know how shit like that would magically disprove, like, you know.
I don't know. And what's worse is that in the arguments that she put forward to try and defend that, she said that it was discussed up to a week. That wording is meant to imply that it was just discussed fully, and it was completely agreed upon, and that it was talked about for that entire week leading up to that point, but it wasn't. That's just how I woke up, and I didn't even remember that text message, and we didn't even talk about it in person. Again, I can't stress that point enough. It was never talked about outside of that text exchange.
Okay, one thing that I want to hear your thoughts on. Okay. There's this particular part that I'm a little like, the contradictions are a little bit crazy. So at one moment, you know, she's saying like, okay, yes, this whole thing occurred, you know, with the threesome, right?
Yeah.
In other instances, she's been blaming Mason. In other instances, she's saying that Mason is never did anything wrong. Nothing ever lines up. But the thing here, right, more specifically, there's no evidence that points to anything illegal, and there never was. Yeah,
Sure.
but see, you have no evidence, Daka.
But we have multiple screenshots of her saying Mason was sober and I was butt fuck drunk, like incessantly drunk
in that video.
Like, yeah, and this was probably like the first time like I ever like actually like went ham with drinking. Like, I know I said I was celebrating my 21st birthday, but I was also with my parents that entire time, and they were controlling my alcohol intake.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really more than tipsy that entire day. Now this I started drinking. I started drinking while she was taking a nap, and I drank almost an entire like mason jar full of cream liquor. And that I did by myself. I was gonna take it home with me because it was like it was cute and it had like a rabbit on it, and I started drinking it because I wanted to know what it tasted like, because I'm like, ooh, this looks good. And I was literally alone in the apartment. I had nothing else to do, and I started drinking it, and I started feeling better throughout like the entire thing. So I just kept drinking and drinking, and I didn't know my own limits. And then she woke up and she knew I was drunk because I was stumbling around and slurring my words, and she gave me more alcohol. She actually gave me tequila, like really, really high volume tequila. And I think I remembered taking 3 before she cut me off and told me to go pee, and then I came back and she gave me more. But again, this is like the first. I didn't know my alcohol limits, so after a little while, I was completely like blackout drunk. I don't remember a lot of it. The last like concrete memory I have like to the timeline is watching Shrek on the couch with only her at home.
Yeah, and at that point,
that was the
time of that video that was being taken.
Yeah, that was when that video was being taken, and this was This was before Mason had come home. So even before he had come home, I was already ungodly drunk, basically couldn't stand, couldn't walk, slurring my words. I was like falling over myself, and there was never any discussion or talk about it. I think he just kind of assumed it would be okay, and she assumed it would be okay, and it wasn't. And I wasn't okay with it. I'm it's to have my to be used like that. It's
yeah. And then she tries to turn around and say that no, it was actually you who was trying to get people to drink.
Yeah, little 5'3", 21, like literally newly 21-year-old, ungodly drunk, literally can't fucking walk without stumbling around or falling on my face. Was the real aggressor there. I was the one pushing them to drink, which, by the way, he as far as I know, he didn't drink, and she admitted that he didn't drink because she said multiple times he was completely sober because he had that job rotation. Now she, however, has a little bit of an excuse because she was drunk, but he was not. He should have known better.
I mean, she still participated in the assault.
She still participated. And at least she knew her. I'm sure she knew her own alcohol limitations. I didn't.
You have any closing words?
Not really. Honestly, the entire statement that she has, it's full of contradictions. She's changed her story multiple times. She's gone from saying that I wasn't that drunk to we were both drunk, or we were all drunk and I was the aggressor, and I talked about it and I said it was okay, but obviously I fucking didn't because I was drunk. And I couldn't have said it was okay.
And there's objective proof that you were drunk.
Yep. There's a video. There's text messages from her, from a group chat that we all had. There was a lot of evidence that kind of calls her out as bullshitting the entire thing.
I see. Well,
yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Statement. Looking at Wicked's card, there's a question asked of the kind of content that people can find in her art and writing. So let's take a look. For muting purposes, I always tend to tag the following subjects in my tweets. Rape, abuse, forced pregnancy, underage, okay. You know, I wonder what Wicked posts on her Twitter given the fact that she believes SA is a heinous crime.
Yeah, let's take a look. Fair warning now for romanticizing SA and such. Underage mention.
Oh man, I really wanted to see a fan art of yours with an underage YN. It's pretty hard to find something like that lately since I saw your tweet last time.
Girl, I can barely draw adults. Me and my AI. Rape, girl, choking, underage roleplay, abuse. Content warning, underage. I think about that pic where Peter is holding a sign that says, I don't date minors. Counterpoint, what if he wants nothing more than to pork a teenage girl your name? Add in a little bit of a purity kink, a dash of catty kink. Oh, it's so gross, but so hot.
Girl, what the fuck?
Then there's this one which I'm not going to have read for a reason. Given the alleged crime that we've been discussing, I wanted the viewers to at least see this one and understand why I'd see it just... It's just creepy as fuck.
Here's also an interesting piece of evidence for her husband's behavior behind the scenes, which shows how complacent she is. This Reddit post shows that Wicked, at minimum 4 years ago, was already aware of Mason's obsession over sex, reading.
There are a couple of other problems between us that I could mention, but the one I need help with is the biggest and by far most restraining factor, sex. And I need help. I don't know what to do or say to make the fight stop. My sex drive isn't what it was when we first got together. There was a gazillion factors that contribute to this depression, moving to a new city, starting a new job, anxiety, money problems, whatever. I'm stressed out and I don't want to have sex as much as I used to. He has told me on a couple of occasions that he feels like he was duped into thinking I had a high sex drive before he married me. Now I can't keep up with him and I'm refusing sex. He respects my decision when I refuse sex, and maybe he'll go to his computer and masturbate instead, but he always fusses about it. He guilts me, he asks for an explanation or a way to change my mind, but I don't have anything to say besides I don't want to, and he does not like that answer. Yeah, Bit of a yikes. Oh look, a kink chart where Wicked shows everything that she likes, so yeah, let's take a look. I mean, hopefully there shouldn't be anything too bad here. Oh, adult ex minor, alright, you know, that's forced impregnation, kidnapping and stalking, drugging, SA, cub, age gap, little bit of grooming, okay. Dubcon. What the hell is Dubcon? Oh. But yeah, don't worry, guys. Wicked got you covered with the Cancel Club counter card. I don't know what to even say at this point. This was very gross and disgusting and gross. The whole thing that gets me is this case reeked of the same depravity of Fubu's allegations, all in the same fan base. And unfortunately, this isn't the last of what I've been informed of concerning the Golfball Man fandom and how unsafe it is for people in general. Not only that, there are numerous people like Wicked in this fandom that will take advantage of how forgiving people are to the depraved behavior that we have discussed today. All I'm going to say is, think about your place in the Your Boyfriend community if people are watching, you know, like, just want to stick around for some reason. If this is what your community is made up of, it's probably not worth sticking around. Have a good day.
Death to Golfball Man.